What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 22, the season finale, World's End. So, a lot of different stories culminated into this final episode, and just really, not just good action, not just good characters, and it's a good story. It's a well-written story as well. I mean, just looking at the beginning of the season, it was all about Ghost Rider. We followed his story. That led into the LMDs. You know, we see May got switched out by Ada, and so now all of a sudden it's about the LMDs, but then they realized the LMDs and what they did, and so now it's about trying to get the people that were taken over by the LMDs out of the framework. And so the last part was all about Agents of Hydra. And so I love the three-part season. I love how each of them connected to each other, and I love how it all came together at the very end of it. You know, you had one of these stories was all about Ghost Rider stopping Ada. The other one was all about other one. there was a moment where they brought back the LMDs for a minute, and then of course Yo-Yo trying to get Mac out of the framework is the last part of it. So I love how all of it sort of went together, and it was a really good finale. So let's talk about it. First, we see Ghost Rider's back. He gets his car, and he goes to get the Darkhold from Ada. We come to find out that apparently he was able to return because Ada created this body out of dark matter from the Darkhold, and so that was enough to create an opening for him to get back into the world, into the real world, because apparently the writer wants to kill Ada because she's made of dark matter, and so it's like the highest vengeance this guy has ever felt, or something like that. So, you know, through some technical mumbo-jumbo, he manages to get back in. We have a nice kick-ass scene with him early on where, you know, Ada shoots him with some lightning, and of course he turns into the Rider and does like a little flip to slash her with his chain, and she gets out of there because she realizes, oh crap, he can actually hurt me. And of course he also takes out some robots at the same time, so it's always a lot of fun to see. But we see at the same time the S.H.I.E.L.D. team are up on the Zephyr. They're trying to keep moving so Ada can't Gordon her way onto the ship. And so we see them trying to figure out what to do next. You know, they realize that they've got to find some way to stop Ada, but they're not sure how. We see apparently there's going to be some sort of meeting to, I guess, judge whether or not S.H.I.E.L.D. should still be kept around. Talbot wants Coulson to go, but Coulson, of course, says we can't. You know, we put ourselves in danger that way. We also see Yo-Yo and Max still inside the framework trying to get out. Yo-Yo is strapped down to a table. This one guy comes to shoot her, but Radcliffe comes in and saves the day last minute. It's nice to see kind of his final episode as well, because they could have just had him not be in this final episode. You know, after everything he went through, after all that happened the past season, I was worried that we wouldn't really have a proper send-off, but they did a very good job of giving him a proper send-off. You know, he helps Yo-Yo get to where she needs to go. He tries to help her get through to Mac and help him get back to the real world. And, you know, it was nice to see that he did get kind of a final episode for him. So we see at a bunch of different moving parts going on. You know, we see Ada's side of it, how she's talking to the robots, trying to figure out what they're going to do next. You know, how are they going to use the Darkhold to take over the world. We see that apparently she got some other guy to replace with the LMDs, and so he and Ivanov both go to this summit that they're having, and Talbot is there, of course. And so they start, you know, bashing S.H.I.E.L.D., saying that it should be shut down, and of course Talbot stands up to defend it. And so all of a sudden we hear these gunshots in the hallway, and then Daisy walks in, but she's not wearing her little arm guard thing, so I'm like, oh, not Daisy. Sure enough, she pulls up a gun and shoots Talbot in the head. I'm like, oh. And so I go into the commercial break just like kind of mind blown that they just killed off Talbot. But the only unfortunate thing about that is they didn't kill him off. And well, I don't mind the fact that Talbot's still alive. You know, I don't necessarily want him dead, because he is kind of a funny character, especially the little back and forth between him and Coulson can be really hysterical at times. So I don't necessarily want him dead, but it is kind of like, really, you know, what are we, CW shows now? You know, like, you got shot in the head, you should be done. And it didn't look like a glancing blow either, like it formed a hole right here. You should be dead. So I don't know. It seemed like kind of a cop out, like, oh, it was just a graze. He's okay. That's not what it looked like. Uh, so yeah, he's fine, but he's in a coma from obviously getting shot. Of course, everybody blames S.H.I.E.L.D. for the incident because there's a camera that saw Daisy shoot him. So obviously it's LMD Daisy, but the team does show up to stop Ada and also get a hold of the Darkhold as well. So in this moment though, we get a nice little scene with Daisy and Ghost Rider fighting together. It was pretty freaking awesome. I mean, just think about that for a moment. Daisy and Ghost Rider fighting together. It's awesome. It's really really awesome. See them fight, even though they're just robots. It's still cool. So we see now the team has the Darkhold. They managed to get out of there before anybody manages to detain them. I love the scene with Coulson where the guys come in and Talbot's right hand woman is just like, detain them. They're the ones responsible. Coulson just pulls out a gun. He's like, don't, and just walks out. Like, you could just tell he's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Just please don't. Just let us go, and I won't have to shoot you in the leg and injure you to keep you from following us. Um, but and then on top of that, after Daisy and Ghost Rider have their little fight scene, he and May show up. Delivers another great line. He's like, "Oh, did I miss it? I missed it, didn't I? You guys teamed up, and I missed it. Crap." Like, that's the Coulson I remember. You know, the one from the first Avengers, the one that's like all fanboying over Captain America. I have your card right here. This is the Coulson that I know and love, and every single time I see it, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's so funny to see him just kind of fanboy about something. But we see the team gets back to the ship. They don't really have enough power to keep the framework alive, though, and that's, you know, they're trying to give Yo-Yo and Mac as much time as possible to get out of there, but they're running out of power to do so. So Coulson's like, let's just head back to base. We'll use the power from there. Everybody's like, but that's not a good idea. But of course Coulson's like, no, we're gonna have a plan. So we get back, and the plan is just ingenious. I mean, just ingenious. It was brilliant. And unfortunately, one of the aspects of the plan was kind of ruined because, like I said, I follow Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Facebook and on Twitter. And so, of course, one of the things I saw, I didn't even get to actually see it, but I just saw something retweeted about, you know, Coulson writer, and I'm just like, oh, so now I know what's going on. And sure enough, that is one of the aspects of the plan, but all of it was just so well planned out. We see Coulson and May going deeper into the base. Coulson's heading towards the little portal that Ghost Rider came through in the last episode, and he's got the Darkhold with him. Meanwhile, Fitz and Simmons are working together on the power, trying to provide more power for the framework. And so Ada shows up and is threatening Gemma's life, and is just like, I'm gonna kill her because I'm gonna get my vengeance on you. It's a brilliant feeling, vengeance. It's the only one I need. Gemma tries to come up from behind her with a screwdriver, but she's just like, nope, grabs it, stabs her in the chest, and I'm like, oh god, no, 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 what are you doing? And of course Fitz is like begging for her life, you know, begging Ada to stop, but she's not. And then finally Fitz tells her exactly what the plan is, and she just electrocutes Gemma. I'm like, please tell me that wasn't real. Please tell me, like, somehow she knew to wore some sort of, like, suit that keeps her from being stabbed and electrocuted. Please? 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 And so Ada tells Fitz, you know, I'm going to kill everybody you love in front of you so that way you'll feel the despair I felt. And so she goes to the portal where Coulson is with the Darkhold, and she's talking all confidently like she's got Coulson cornered. All of a sudden, gunshots from behind her. It's Gemma. It was an LMD that got killed. I'm like, that's brilliant. I mean, honestly, that is just brilliant. Brilliant idea. And so, of course, the gunshots don't really do much to her. You know, she heals. She starts heading towards Gemma, but Coulson runs up behind her, so she turns. She's like, you can't stop me. There's only one person that can. And Coulson's just like, I know. Grabs her, flames on, chain around her. I'm like, that was so badass. Ugh. it was just so cool the way it all set up. Coulson's delivery, him turning into Ghost Rider, it was so good. And so Ada tries to like teleport out of there to get away from him, but she ends up bringing him with her. And so they go falling through the sky, and then they fall into a subway, and then they fall back into the base. And then Coulson in front of Fitz and Simmons, who happen to run right into that one spot. I don't know why exactly. I wasn't sure if something bad was going to happen, but Fitz did get to see, Ada die. So I guess that's kind of a turning point for him. Hopefully, he'll see that and just be like, all right, my creation is done. Good. But of course, Ghost Rider manages to burn her and turn her to ashes. So really awesome, really cool to see. And so Coulson, talking to Robbie later, is talking to him about, thank you for letting us do that. I'm glad the writer kept his promise. But then Robbie says something along the lines of, you had to give up something. You know the terms of the deal or something like that. So I understand that because Coulson did die and come back to life, that's probably why he's able to channel the writer. I'm assuming. I don't know. Mac was able to as well, but at that point, Robbie was not in the real world. So the writer actually went to Mac. This was something completely different. Robbie was still alive. He transferred the writer's spirit to Coulson. This wasn't like the writer chose somebody else. So the fact that he was able to transfer him to Coulson, I assume, is because Coulson was dead and came back to life. I'm assuming that's why Coulson had the power to control it. But I do have to wonder what Robbie meant by that. He said, "Have you told the team?" And he's like, "No, I will when the time is right." So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what happened with the writer. I don't know if he made some sort of deal with him. I don't know. I'm really honestly confused, and I'm kind of concerned because it was very ominous, the way they brought it up. But we do see, Robbie ends up going back to this world's version of hell. He opens up a portal using his chain, which is pretty cool. And honestly, like, most of the effects with Ghost Rider this season have been amazing. It's just some of it, obviously, all of it's looked very computer generated. None of it's looked like, oh yeah, that looks like it's actually there. But it still looks good. It could have looked really, really bad, like it was completely out of the scene, but it looks like it's there. It's just also a little bit CGI, but that's to be expected. But yeah, all of it looks really good. The portal he opens looks really cool, and then he goes in after saying goodbye. And so that leads to the final scene where we see Fitz is like, I'm going to take the blame. And of course, the team is there, and they're just like, no, you're not going to do that. We're doing this together. Daisy gives him a nice little speech talking about when she tried to take the blame for everything but couldn't. And so we see the team manages to leave together. Before I get to the final scene, though, do need to talk about how the whole thing inside the framework ended. Because we do see Mac is, first of all, he doesn't know who Yo-Yo is, but we see he's very reluctant to believe that there's only one way, that he can't stay here with Hope. And there is a little bit of a problem with it. I do like how it ended. It was very sad and it was very emotional, but it did end properly. But the fact is, when it ends, the reason it ends, and he and Yo-Yo manage to make it back, is because they're sitting there together. Yo-Yo realizes, everything is disappearing. The back door that Daisy opened up is there. But Mac just sits down on the couch and is holding Hope, and you can see he doesn't want to leave her. And so Yo-Yo sits down next to him and is like, I'm not going to leave you then. We're just going to stay here together. And so, that is very emotional, but Mac is sitting there holding Hope, and all of a sudden Hope disappears. And so at that point, I guess Yo-Yo finally, he sees that she's there still for him, and so at that point they decide to go back together. But the problem is, that should have been brought up earlier. Because one of the things that was constantly said, one of the things Radcliffe said, one of the things Yo-Yo said, is the reason that he's not going back is because Hope is alive here and she's not there. But the problem is with that, this world is disappearing, which means very soon she won't be alive here either. And that's honestly what ends up bringing him back. Whenever she disappears and she's not alive there anymore, then he's like, oh, okay, well, let's go. That was going to happen. We all knew that was going to happen. and yet nobody brought it up. I'm sitting here thinking this is literally the only problem I have with this episode. I just don't understand why that wasn't brought up sooner. Why nobody thought about that. Hey, Mac, I realize you don't want to go home because your daughter's here and she's not there, but very soon she's not going to be here either. But if you stay here, not only will she not be here, you won't be anywhere either. So would you honestly rather not exist at all than at least come back to a world where you have other people that you care for? You know, other people that can help you get past this? I don't understand the logic. I don't understand why nobody used that line of logic. The fact that Hope's not going to exist in this world either. Because honestly, that's what ended up convincing him in the end anyway. So, I don't know. It is a bit of a problem that I do have, but at least at the end of it, we see he does come back. He's not going to sacrifice himself for, a program that disappears. So, they both come back together. It is an emotional scene. We see Daisy's just like, he's gone, and starts crying, and Yo-Yo wakes up, and I'm like, oh, well, if she came back, there's no way Mac didn't come back. And sure enough, he wakes up as well. So it was good to see them both come back and make it back alive. There is a final send-off with Radcliffe that I thought was very good with his character. He's sitting on the beach inside the framework and just pretty much says, at least I didn't get my immunity, but it is what it is. What's an eternal life without my Agnes? Pours himself a glass. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but disappears, and glass falls into the sand. I'm just like, that was pretty touching. That was pretty touching. And so the framework is officially gone. Ada is officially stopped. Ghost Rider has taken the Darkhold with him back into hell. And so all that's left is, of course, they have to find the Russian's head, because he still probably is creating more LMDs of himself, still probably running something somewhere. I assume that we'll have... I don't really know exactly what's going to happen with this character next season. I don't know if maybe they just destroyed the last of the robots. He said, I'll make 100 more, so I doubt we've seen the last of him, but I do have to wonder if anybody's going to maybe find his head and start controlling him, or what. I don't know. Many possibilities with that in the future. But we see the team goes on the run. Don't get to see any of that, unfortunately. I was hoping that maybe that's kind of where it would end off, is them saying, alright, we got to go on the run, and then next season we pick up with, alright, they're still on the run, and see them trying to escape from the authorities, trying to escape from other enemies of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that's not what happens. We see they're in a diner, they're all eating together, all of a sudden the lights, power shuts off, comes back on, and here come these soldiers. This bald guy that we don't get to see his face, I'm assuming because they're shrouding him in mystery at the moment, he starts talking to them, and all of a sudden pulls out this little device. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming maybe it knocks them out or something. I don't know. But he pulls out this device. It's glowing green and emits this high frequency thing. And he says something like, the window is open. We only have such and such amount of time. And so take them. And that's where it cuts off. And then when it comes back, Coulson is sleeping on a bed. He sits up, puts on some work shoes, flicks on these two switches. Window opens up. He's in space. And he's like, alright, enough sightseeing, Coulson. Time to get back to work. Walks out the door, and that's how it ends. So yeah, I don't know what any of that means. I don't know who the guy is. I don't know if they're working for some sort of organization, if they're supposed to be part of the military. I don't know what device he used. I don't know where they are. I don't know why Coulson's working in space. I don't know any of that. And now I've got a ton of questions leading into Season 5, of course. It's kind of frustrating. Because honestly, that's pretty much how the last two seasons have ended. They've ended on a note of, oh yeah, everything looks like it's wrapped up, everything looks like it's, okay, we've got an ending, but we also see where it could go for next season. But then all of a sudden they're just like, no, wait, cliffhanger, and then make me wait for several months before I can finally watch the show again, get the answers that I need, because I need answers. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. Obviously, next season is going to be a long wait, but I'm excited. As far as this season goes, though, final thoughts. really, really good season. I thought, you know, just going by seasons, I think the first season is obviously the one that a lot of people have problems with. It's so funny how many people I talk to nowadays. I'm just like, do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D? They're like, well, I tried watching the first season, but I just couldn't get through. I'm like, just power through the first season, because near the end of the first season, it gets really good. After Captain America: Civil War, or not Civil War, Winter Soldier, and all the stuff that happened in that movie, it really starts to tie into the show. It gets really good there. Second season gets even better. You got the whole Inhuman thing thrown in. Gets really exciting. The third season got really good with Hydra's return, and then we see Hive and everything that happened with him. So that was really exciting, and then that kicked off into the fourth season. We get Ghost Rider, and then we get LMDs, and then we get the framework that reintroduces Hydra inside this world. Yeah, it was really good. Just all of it tied in really well together. Ghost Rider was awesome. The LMD storyline got really good. The one episode in particular where they realized that there are 4 LMDs inside the base was amazing, and easily for me probably the best episode this season. And that's saying something, because there were a lot of really good episodes. And then the whole just being inside the framework, seeing an entirely different world. If Hydra took over, if May did manage to save that little girl, what would have happened? Seeing Ada and everything she did to change, turn May into a soldier of Hydra, turn Fitz into an evil doctor that works for Hydra. Killed Gemma. Coulson became just a normal teacher. Mac became a father. All of that stuff was just a lot of fun to watch, and a lot of fun to just see everything that was different. So yeah, all in all, it was easily one of the best 4 seasons. Just it's really hard for me to say which one is better, this season or last season, or even the second season, because all 3 of them are really good. First season, probably the lesser of the 4. But I mean, it's just so many good things about it that I can't wait to see what they've got next season. It's just every single season that goes by, it's like I expect it maybe to drop off a little bit this season. Maybe there are going to be a few episodes that I'm just like, yeah, that was okay. It's kind of filler. I'm not experiencing that at all. It really, really is a lot of fun, really enjoyable. Easily one of the best shows out there right now, and it is my favorite show. So that's all I've got for this season. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode and the season in general? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe to future Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.